Hi, this is how to increase your self-esteem today, part 2. So in the first part, I've outlined how evolutionary principles have developed us as a species to require approval from other people, and that's really important that you watch that video and understand that, because I think it's really important we understand that it's a very good thing that we require approval from other people. So in this part, we're going to look at why some people have stronger self-esteem than others. First of all, I'll say this. With most traits in humans, there's a good distribution of people. So if you take size, for example, most people are of a similar kind of size in a country. But then you get some people, a small number of people who are really tall, and then you get a small number of people who are really small. So with any trait, there's probably a good distribution, most people being in the middle and some people being at either end. So first of all, I want to say that as I said in the first part, I believe we're born with a need for approval from other people. And we strive and we long for approval from other people. And I think the best way of understanding that, because I think it's very difficult for us to accept that we need other people's approval. A lot of literature in the West tries to teach you to strive to be self-sufficient, and a lot of stuff to try and improve self-esteem, I think I've seen, tries to encourage you to say, I don't need other people, you know, I don't need other people's approval, I can survive with my own approval, don't rely on other people. I kind of want to say the opposite, really. I believe that we're wired to rely on other people, and I believe that the people that are the most emotionally healthy in the world are people who have strong, supportive, encouraging relationships, full of encouragement and approval from the people that we are in close relationship to. So, firstly, I want to say though that we all, I believe, require approval from other people, but some people probably are genetically predisposed to require more approval than others. So that has a contribution to how much approval we need from others, and of course that may contribute to our self-esteem. We'll look at why in a second. But the second thing is to say this. If we have had, as we've been growing up, as children, if you look at children, you can see that most children have an incredible need for attention and approval from their parents. And you know, if you just spend a few minutes watching a child, and you'll see that as soon as they're not getting attention, they're going, I want attention, look at me. Some as I've mentioned, need less than others. Okay, so there is a distribution there, but I believe all children need attention. And if a child gets loads of attention, you know, it's hard for parents, because children are a constant drain on your patience, you know, constantly wanting to be given attention, constantly wanting to have you playing with them and things. But if a child gets loads of attention and also just gets loads of encouragement, loads of approval, and support when they're looking for that, and also as they're growing up, just gets lots of a real sense that their parents adore them and love them and have really accept them, then I believe that that child will typically grow up with a strong sense of self-esteem, because the self-esteem mechanism thrives on encouragement and support, and that's, I believe, we're all wired to try and get that encouragement and support from others, that approval and that delight and that sense that people really love us. But so somebody who's had a lot of that in their childhood environment, I believe, will typically grow up with a good sense of self-esteem. The opposite is also true, that if a child has, it's kind of obvious really, but if a child, if you watch children, you see how much they're desperate for attention and encouragement, and just how much they thrive when you say, oh, you're so clever, you know, they need that. Some parents, if the parents are unfortunately, you know, for whatever reason, really struggling to cope with the demands of bringing up a child, and that just, you know, the crying and the neediness is just too much for them, and they're just really struggling to give them attention. When maybe the parents got a lot of anxiety, maybe got some you know, themselves, maybe they're always very distracted with other things, maybe finances are low and they're out working all the time. For whatever reason, if their child just is not getting a lot of response from the parent, and they really get a sense of the parents not encouraging, supporting, approving, then they're likely to have a deficit of attention and approval and delight. And it's just like, I believe, like food. You're going to get thin, you know, if you don't eat enough food. If you're not getting that constant ongoing attention and approval and support and delight, you're going to start getting basically low self-esteem. It's like being hungry or becoming thin, but it's the self-esteem version. So for whatever reason, and you may, well, you know, yeah, for whatever reason, if you've grown up with a deficit of that kind of approval and attention delight, you're going to have low self-esteem. Now, the crucial thing I want to say is this. This is really central to everything that my book is all about, which is, you can find at understandselfesteem.com. But this, one of the central things I would say is this: if you have grown up in an environment where you've had a lot of criticism and you've not had much approval and you've not had much attention and there's been a bit of a deficit, a strange thing happens, and that is that when you grow up and start building new relationships, and I'm not going to look at why in this video because it's very complicated, but as you build new relationships, the funny thing happens is that you typically start building relationships with other people who also do not give you much attention and approval, maybe are a bit critical, maybe are just don't feed your need for your self-esteem need for approval and delight. So one of the central theses of this book is that if we've got low self-esteem, I believe it's oftentimes because our close relationships are not marked with people who are demonstrating copious levels of encouragement and excitement about us as people, and you know, oftentimes our relationships actually, when we really start thinking about it, there's a lot of criticism, a lot of, you know, backhanded comments, a lot of kind of animosity that it's often quite subtle. But anyway, my belief is, and this is the whole thesis of this book, if we take a long, hard look and really carefully investigate our relationships and the way that we relate and the way that other people relate to us, we'll find that some relationships are more nurturing of our self-esteem than others. So in part 3 of this video blog, we're actually gonna have a look at our relationships, and I'm gonna ask you to rate each of your relationships, and we'll do it all properly in the next part, and look at which relationships are possibly contributing to nurturing our self-esteem, and which ones possibly are even having a detrimental effect to our sense of self-worth and our self-esteem. So if you now go to part 3, we'll have a look at how to rate our relationships and start beginning to try and understand better which relationships are having a positive effect on our self-esteem. So if you move to part 3 now.